Care Bear here to share with you this cute little knit that I just finished. This is a muff for a child. So if you are looking to make something else other than mittens, check out this muff. This was a long time coming because I wanted to make a muff way back in February. I had made a little one in our world, a coat, and I was looking to make mittens. I had done a hat, and a friend of mine said, oh, you know what? You need to make a muff to go with that coat. So I thought, oh yeah, that would be really cute. And I'll show you the coat. It was by Nash Knits, and it's so elegant. But when I started looking for muffs, I found fun, cute muffs for kiddos. And I thought, oh, wait, I want to do something fun because she's just really little, and I think she'd really enjoy this. However, when I went to find these patterns, one I could only get if I lived in the UK, and I'm in Canada, and I couldn't purchase that one. They wouldn't allow it, so I couldn't buy that one. And then there was another one that I really liked for kids, and you had to buy the entire book, and I was like, oh my goodness, I don't need the entire book. And so I was hunting and hunting and hunting, and just this past month I thought, okay, I gotta do it. I just gotta figure out what that's gonna look like. So I found an adult pattern called Lover, Take My Hand, and I've got the link down below by Lenore Hopkins, and it is an adult muff that was made with a chunky weight yarn, and I wanted this yarn because it matches so well with the coat, and I love this pink and mustard and light pink and mauve. I wanted this for this little one, and this is a DK weight yarn, so I held it double, and I used that Lover Take My Hand pattern, and I modified it to child size. So let me tell you what I did in order to make this happen. So the yarn that I used is, sorry for the noise, I'm just opening up a baggie here, but it is by James C. Brett. It's the yarn, and it is 80% acrylic and 20% wool, and I held it double, and this is what the yarn looks like. So it has some great orange and rust and hot pink, light pink, and I just took that 100-gram ball and separated it in two, and I held it double so that I could work with that pattern that was the adult pattern. And that pattern called for US 7 and 8, so 4.5 millimeter and 5 millimeter, and that's what I used when I worked with this. And the first thing that you do when you're making that is you're creating a cuff at one end, and then you knit the body, and there was a pattern, a four round repeat pattern, and then you knit the cuff over here, and that's the end of the pattern, which was lovely. So what I did is, they had the cuff for an adult. I cast on and did the cuff for a child size. So I think I cast on 24 stitches, 24. I put the notes on my Ravelry page, but I cast on for a child to do a cuff, and I knit the cuff for about 3 inches, and then just like they do with the adult pattern, I doubled the number of stitches and then started to knit. I did the cuff in the round, but then I started to just do stockinette stitching in the round with double the amount of stitches. And so I continued on. I had the cuff out here, and I just continued on until I had the width that I wanted for the body, because I knew I was going to be tucking the cuff inside at both ends. So I then once I got it, and I think I did this 10 inches wide, and then I just decreased, knit two together, and then I did the cuff for the other side. So I had a 3-inch cuff, a 3-inch cuff, and 10 inches in between. So then at this end, once I finished the cuff, I increased double the amount of stitches, and I knit an extra 4 inches in the round, because I wanted to tuck the cuffs in at both ends, plus the extra 4 inches, sew them together, and then before I sewed them together, stuff it so that this was going to be a super warm little muff, and then I could add on the eyes and some feet and antenna or what have you that I had been inspired from 2 other patterns, and I'm just going to get the name of those other 2 patterns. I put them in the links below. One was called the Two-Headed Monster Muff by Butterfly Love 1, and the other one was called Love Muff by Anna. And both of them are super cute, and they had different features that I really adored, and I just mixed some of those features into this pattern. Because this was chunky yarn, and I don't think either of those were made with chunky yarn, but I had to work with this adult pattern as that's all that I had. So then once I finished those 4 inches, I then washed this piece, and while it was washing and drying, I then went on to make 2 circle balls, larger ones, for the feet. And then I made 2 circles for the eyes, a little bit smaller. And I did those using 3mm to make them really, really, really tight, so that when I stuffed them, they wouldn't bleed through. And then I made these little horns, antennas, I don't know what you want to call them, with in the round a number of stitches. I knit up till the height that I wanted them, and then I did an I-cord finish, and I knot the I-cord to make those little antenna. And yeah, once this piece was dry, I pulled the cuff, that one cuff, all the way out here. So I had both cuffs out here, and then I started stuffing it, and that wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. It was kind of hard to stuff around the cuffs because the cuffs are so tiny. I have really tiny hands and wrists, but I can't even really get my hand through. Well, I guess I can, but it was hard to do. Anyway, I was pushing the stuffing through. I used non-allergenic anti-mold, baby-safe stuffing that I use for animals and baby stuffies and pillows and such. And I used that stuffing to stuff it, and then I sealed off the cuff, and then I kind of rolled it so that I could make sure it was all even. And then I ended up sewing on the feet. Once I had the feet on and I knew it was resting the way I liked it, then I sewed on the eyes, and then I sewed on the antenna, and after I added my little KarebearKnitwear tag, and yeah, so that's my version of the muff. It took a long time to get to this point, but I'm really happy with it. I think it's cute. I did wonder about, do I need a neck strap? And I didn't put it on. I'm going to wait, and if the mommy and if the parents decide they'd like to have that, I can always add it on after. I was worried about how I would do that, because if it's an I-cord, will it really stretch? Because there's some weight to this. It's not like little mittens on a string. So I don't know, I'd have to do a pretty thick I-cord and pretty dense knit of an I-cord in order for it to, and then maybe I'd have to, you know, stitch it around so that it really has some strength in holding it. Yeah, anyway, I don't know. If you have thoughts, definitely share your ideas. So this is my, I'm calling it a Monster Muff, that I will be gifting with that little jacket at the holiday time. So thanks for joining me today. Thanks for listening, and check out the links below.